The night my family celebrated my birthday without me was the moment I realized I didn't exist in their story. For my 18th birthday, my parents didn't just throw a party, they built a spotlight and then handed it to the wrong person. It was supposed to be my day, my moment, but the second my older brother decided he wanted a do-over of his 18th, everything shifted like it always did. My parents didn't hesitate, they just passed my birthday to him as casually as handing over a plate of cake. I walked out in the middle of that party and never looked back. A year later, when he saw how far I'd gotten without them, he couldn't handle it. His jealousy exploded, and it cracked my family wide open. What do you do when the people who are supposed to be your safe place slowly erase you from your own life? When the betrayal doesn't come in one big moment, but in a long, quiet pattern that makes you question if you were ever really seen at all. The air in our house was always heavy with unspoken rules, especially the one that said, "Tyler comes first." It was never truly quiet, but the silence around me was always the loudest. For years, I moved through that house like a ghost, present, but somehow always in the background of someone else's story. I'm Liam. I turned 19 last month, but this isn't about that birthday. This is about my 18th, or more accurately, the birthday party that was supposed to be mine, until my brother Tyler decided it was his again, and my parents just let him take it. I grew up in a typical suburb. Think barbecue Sundays, lawnmower Saturdays, neighbors who knew everyone's business before you did. From the outside, my family looked perfect. My dad owned a small construction company, nothing fancy but steady. My mom was a high school guidance counselor, always talking about empathy and listening, even though she rarely practiced either at home. Then there was my brother Tyler, 2 years older, star of the soccer team, golden boy of the family. Somehow the main character in every story, even when it wasn't his. He always got everything first. First bike, first phone, first car. That part I could understand. He was older. But even when it was finally supposed to be my turn, he had a way of stepping in, taking center stage, and my parents would not only let it happen, they'd cheer him on. I used to tell myself I didn't mind. I was the quiet kid. I kept to myself, got good grades, and didn't cause trouble. I figured if I stayed out of the way and did my own thing, sooner or later they'd see me. They didn't, at least not in any way that counted. Tyler brought home a C in algebra and got praised for working so hard. I landed a full-ride scholarship to a state university and got a quick, "That's nice, honey," before the conversation shifted back to Tyler's job search. He wasn't even seriously looking. I never confronted them. I told myself it wasn't worth the drama. I just pushed it down and kept playing the role of the understanding son. But sometimes it's not one big moment that breaks you. It's 1,000 small cuts. My 18th birthday, that was the final one. A couple of months before my birthday, my mom asked what I wanted to do. Nothing huge, I said. Just a backyard party, a few friends, some music, a bonfire. She actually seemed excited, said it was a big milestone and she wanted to make it special. I held on to those words. We started planning together. We made guest lists, talked about food, and even discussed hanging those string lights we only brought out for the 4th of July. For once, it felt like something was about me. I wasn't asking for a parade. I just wanted to feel like I mattered. Then Tyler came home. He was supposed to be away at college, but he dropped out after one semester, said it wasn't for him. My parents barely reacted. They told him they were proud of him for figuring out what he didn't want. Meanwhile, I was in the same room, filling out scholarship essays and got reminded not to put too much pressure on myself. The irony stung. As soon as Tyler came back, the house orbit shifted right back around him. He sprawled across the couch like he'd never left, raided the fridge, and left towels on the bathroom floor. My dad started telling his old Tyler the Hero stories at dinner again. My mom cooked his favorite meals 3 nights in a row. I decided that I should drop out too if I wanted that kind of treatment. My mom laughed like I was kidding. I wasn't. About a week before my birthday, everything changed. I came home from school and found Tyler and my mom in the kitchen, laughing over old photo albums. Tyler looked up and said, "Hey, remember my 18th party? That was crazy." I remembered. They rented a venue, invited their entire friend group, and hired a DJ. The budget for mine was a fraction of that. Then Tyler dropped the bomb. "You know what would be fun?" he said. "If we did it again, like a redo. I barely remember the first one. We could do a chill version this time. Backyard, music, bonfire. I want to relive it." I froze. My mom looked at him like he'd just reinvented the wheel. "That actually sounds like a great idea," she said. I blinked. "What?" She turned to me, like she'd only just remembered I existed. "Oh, sweetie, don't worry. We can combine the parties. It'll be fun. You two can celebrate together." My stomach dropped. "I'm not turning 18 again," I said slowly. "I'm just turning 18. Tyler shrugged. "Yeah, but they're both big moments, right? Mine's like memory lane. Chill party, both of us. What's the harm?" I looked at my mom, hoping, begging for her to set a boundary, to remind him that this was supposed to be my day. Instead, she nodded. "You could even share the guest list. It'll be more of a family event." I didn't respond. I didn't trust myself to. All I could hear was the rush in my ears as that special party I'd been planning got swallowed whole by Tyler's nostalgia trip. Over the next few days, it got worse. Decorations I'd picked were replaced with ones Tyler liked better. My guest list got cut down. "We can't invite too many people, sweetie. It's just the backyard." The cake flavor I wanted was vetoed in favor of Tyler's favorite. He even asked if we could play some of his old playlists for the vibe. I started feeling like a guest at my own celebration. When I tried to tell my dad I felt pushed aside, he said, "It's just one day, Liam. Please, don't make a big deal out of it. Let your brother enjoy himself too." As if I hadn't spent my entire life stepping aside. The day of the party came. It was clear from the start. This was not mine. People arrived calling out, "Tyler, you're back. Wait, didn't you already turn 18? Is this your party?" He laughed it off. "Nah, we're celebrating both of us." But nobody looked at me. Nobody said happy birthday unless I reminded them. My name wasn't even on the cake. And that wasn't the worst part. I noticed the banner. It hung above the patio in big, bold letters. "Tyler's 18th Again Bash," with a winking emoji printed on the side. It was like one big joke. No mention of me. Not Tyler and Liam, not joint birthday, nothing. I went straight to my mom, who was by the grill directing my uncle like she was running a full-scale event. "Where's the banner we made?" I asked. She frowned slightly. "What banner?" "The one with both our names. We printed it last week. I helped you design it." "Oh," she said lightly. "Well, Tyler thought it looked cluttered. We didn't want people to get confused. This one is more fun." "You just got rid of the one we planned?" I asked. She sighed. "Don't make this a big deal. Everyone knows it's your birthday, too." No, they didn't. Even Tyler's friends looked at me like I was just the neighbor kid hovering around. I walked back to the edge of the yard where my friend sat near the fence. My best friend Mason gave me a tight smile. "You okay, man?" "Yeah," I lied. "Living the dream." We both knew I wasn't. Then Tyler's voice cut through the yard. "Yo, everyone, quiet for a sec." The music shut off. He stood on a chair, drink in hand, like he was about to give some big speech. "Thanks for coming out tonight," he said. "This party means a lot to me. 18 is a big deal. Yeah, I already hit it a couple of years ago, but it's symbolic, right? I'm really glad my family helped make tonight special. Thanks, Mom. Dad, you guys are the best." Everyone clapped. I waited for him to say, "And it's Liam's birthday too," or "We're celebrating my brother tonight." Nothing. He stepped down. Music came back on. People swarmed him with pats on the back and more drinks. Heat crawled up my neck. My ears rang, and in that moment, it hit me. They didn't forget me. They didn't care. Mason turned to me. "Dude, what was that?" I shook my head. "I'm done." "What do you mean?" "I'm leaving. I'm not staying here just to be invisible." Before he could reply, I walked straight across the yard, past the fire pit, past the banner, past the people who barely knew whose party they were at. My mom saw me. "Where are you going?" "Out," I said. "But we haven't done cake yet." I stopped. "Did you even get a cake for me?" She hesitated. "We got Tyler's favorite, but it's chocolate. Everybody likes chocolate." I didn't answer. I just kept walking. Behind me, I heard, "Was that his brother? I didn't even know he was part of the party." Exactly. Mason followed me out to the street. "Want me to come with?" I shook my head. "No, stay. You might actually have some fun." "Are you sure?" "Yeah, I need not to be here." I walked home alone. It wasn't far, but every step felt like I was dragging years of disappointment behind me. I went to my room, sat on the edge of my bed, and just stared at the floor. No yelling, no crying, just a simple, heavy realization. Nothing would change unless I changed something. I didn't go back. I ignored the texts from my mom and Tyler that night. The next morning, I woke up early. I took every photo of Tyler off my walls, old birthday pictures, family trips, and his graduation. I boxed them up and shoved the box into the closet. Then I went to the kitchen, made myself breakfast, and left a note on the fridge. "Don't worry, I didn't forget my birthday." They didn't say anything to me for 2 days. On the third day, my mom cornered me in the hallway. "Are you going to keep acting like this?" "Like what?" "Like we did something to you? We just wanted Tyler to have a nice night too." I stared at her. "As if I ever got one," I said quietly. "I'm your son too." Her face fell. "You're being dramatic." I walked past her without another word. That week, I started making real plans. College was coming. I already had my scholarship. My parents said I could live at home, but I didn't want to owe them anything. I started looking for campus housing. 3 months later, I moved out. My dad helped load the car. We barely spoke. Tyler didn't show up at all. My mom hugged me. "Call us if you need anything, okay?" I nodded. I didn't mean it. College felt like freedom. For the first time in my life, I wasn't tiptoeing around someone else's moods. I made friends. Professors actually noticed me. I joined a film club and even wrote a short story about a forgotten birthday that ended up winning second place in a campus contest. I barely spoke to my family. They didn't ask much, and I didn't volunteer. Almost a year after that ruined party, I got a message from Tyler. 3 words. "You think you're better?" I ignored it. Then more messages came. Long paragraphs, accusations. Jealousy drips from every line. He'd seen a post about me landing a summer internship at a small production studio in New York. It wasn't some huge company, but it was a big deal to me. Friends shared the post around. The film club reposted it. Tyler couldn't stand it. He sent insult after insult. Said I was trying to make him look bad. Said I abandoned the family. Said I only got the internship because they needed someone like me for appearances. The worst part wasn't his meltdown. It was the screenshot my friend Mason sent me from my family group chat. Tyler had written, "I don't care if he's successful. He's still a selfish kid who ruined my party and made Mom cry. He thinks he's better than us because he moved out. Let's see how long he lasts without Dad's money." And my dad replied, "Don't worry. He'll come crawling back when the real world hits him." That was the knife I didn't see coming. I'd always assumed my dad was neutral, quiet, maybe not on my side, but not actively against me. I was wrong. The truth is, I was already surviving on my own. My scholarship covered tuition and housing. I worked at a student cafe for extra income. Money was tight, but I got by. There were weeks I practically lived on cheap food because textbooks were too expensive. I walked through freezing mornings to the cafe to serve coffee to exhausted students. I fell asleep on my laptop more nights than I can count. But every time I thought about quitting and going home, I remembered that banner, that cake, that message from my dad. And I kept going. Rock bottom wasn't one night. It was a long stretch of exhaustion and pressure. But in the middle of all that, small sparks started appearing. I got more deeply involved with the film club. I started writing short scripts, helping with projects, and learning the cameras. For the first time, I was surrounded by people who saw me as me, not Tyler's little brother. A senior named Jenna asked me to help shoot a short film for a contest after she saw how I edited a club video. "You know how to tell a story quietly," she told me. "You don't need to shout to make it hit." That stuck with me more than any birthday card I'd ever gotten. My screenwriting professor later pulled me aside and said, "You have something. You understand emotions in small moments. That's rare." He offered to mentor me and encouraged me to apply for a writing fellowship. Only a few students got chosen each year, but I applied anyway. I picked up extra shifts at the cafe. I tutored other students in English at the Learning Center. I helped Jenna with another film. My schedule was packed, but every hour felt like an investment in my own life. I wasn't posting constantly online. I wasn't trying to prove anything to my family. I just wanted to build something real. That's why it surprised me when the internship announcement caught so much attention. The campus page shared it. Friends reposted it with things like, "Look who's going places." And that was enough to send Tyler into a spiral. He sent that storm of bitter messages, accusing me of being a show-off and claiming I was jealous of him. Jealous of someone who dropped out, moved back home, and couldn't let his younger brother have one evening. If it hadn't been so sad, it would have been funny. I didn't respond, I just saved the messages. Because his meltdown wasn't really about me, it was about him realizing that I'd stepped out of his shadow, and now he had to look at his own reflection without me there to blur it. Meanwhile, I kept moving forward. I finished the semester with a 3.8 GPA. My script got accepted into that writing fellowship. The summer internship in New York turned out to be intense but incredible. I met people who took me seriously. I learned how real productions worked. Every long commute, every late night at my tiny sublet desk, I reminded myself, I earned this. Back home, Tyler's life was unraveling. He bounced through jobs, tried going back to school, and dropped out again. My parents started calling more often, not to apologize, but to guilt trip. "We miss you," my mom would say. "Tyler's going through a lot," my dad would add, but they never acknowledged what they'd done. The favoritism, the dismissal, the years of overlooking me. They wanted things back to normal without earning it. I had zero interest in going back, not until I was ready. And when I finally was, I made sure my return wasn't quiet. There's a saying, the best revenge is living well. I get the sentiment, but whoever said that never had their own family erase them from their birthday. Living well was part of it, sure, but I didn't just want to escape their narrative. I tried to reclaim mine. It started with a message from Jenna a few weeks after my summer internship. "Remember Daniel from the film festival?" she texted. "He's starting something new, wants to talk to you." Daniel was a producer I'd met through one of Jenna's projects. He was sharp and direct, the kind of person who actually remembered your name. We hopped on a video call. "I'm building a new digital content wing," he said. "Short documentaries, branded pieces, social content. I want young writers with fresh perspectives. I want you on the team." "Like paid?" I asked. He laughed. "Not a fortune, but real work. Remote. You can do it while finishing school. Interested?" I didn't hesitate. Yes. At first, it was simple stuff, writing voiceover scripts, outlining short features, checking interviews. But it was a real experience and real connections. That was phase 1. Phase 2 came when a director in the studios network, a guy named Marcus, read one of my short scripts. It was about a college student estranged from his family trying to build a life on his own. He didn't know it was basically my story. "This has weight," he said. "Have you ever thought of directing it yourself?" I hadn't, not seriously. But the idea stuck. I spent weeks rewriting the script, tightening every line. Jenna gave me honest feedback. Eventually, I submitted it to my university's film fund. They gave me a small grant, enough to try. We shot the film that fall. A tiny crew, a borrowed camera, student actors, campus buildings, and a cheap diner as locations. I called it Second Son. I didn't tell anyone what it was really about, but I poured everything into it. The neglect, the quiet hurt, the way it feels to be present and ignored at the same time. The final scene was a close-up of the main character at his own birthday party, sitting alone at the edge of the frame while everyone else is celebrating someone else. The camera slowly pulls back until he's just a small, forgotten figure in the corner. When I watched the final cut, I cried. Not because I was sad, but because, for once, it felt like someone really saw me. Even if that someone was me. We submitted Second Son to a regional student film festival. I didn't expect much, but it made the finals. Then it won. Best Short Film, Best Screenplay. Afterwards, a judge who taught at another school shook my hand and said, "That last scene, I haven't felt something like that in a long time." That's when things started to get interesting. One of the judges was an alum from my old high school, a woman named Hannah who now worked in media consulting. She recognized my name from when she'd visited my journalism class years ago. "I know your parents," she said. "Nice people. I remember your brother, too." My stomach tightened, but I said nothing. "If you ever want help getting your film a little press, local papers, maybe an online feature, let me know," she added. I thanked her. Then I went back to my room and started thinking. Press, local feature, hometown eyes. That was phase 3. I sent a screener of Second Son to a small local arts blog that highlights people from the area. The writer, Chris, loved it. He called it a haunting and honest look at family silence. He published a piece about the film. It didn't go viral, but it spread through my hometown's online circles. Parents shared it, old teachers commented, people from my high school tagged each other. The guidance counselor who worked with my mom shared it and wrote, "An incredible short film by a former student. Watch until the end." And my mom? She basically lived in those local groups. She saw it. I didn't contact my parents. I didn't need to, because they reached out to me. First came a message from my mom. "I saw the article. You made a movie? Why didn't you tell us?" Then, "People are saying it's based on your life. Is that true?" Then, the one that really said it all. "I feel like you're making us look like villains. That's not fair." My dad messaged, too. "This is low. Whatever problems you have, sharing them publicly isn't the answer." Tyler didn't text, but someone sent me a screenshot of his post. Some people build their whole career on exaggeration. Congrats, I guess. I actually laughed. All I'd done was tell the truth in a different form. I hadn't named them, I hadn't exposed details, but they recognized themselves. That told me everything. The final piece came when my university announced an alum showcase event. They were holding it at the community theater in my hometown, and they wanted to screen Second Son as part of the program. The department chair asked if I'd like to introduce the film in person. It was 3 blocks from the house I grew up in. I said yes, and I reserved 2 extra tickets. Because sometimes you don't need to crash someone else's party. You build your own and send them an invitation. The theater lights dimmed. Rows of red seats stretched out in front of me, filled with neighbors, teachers, and former classmates. In the 5th row, slightly left of center, I saw them. My mom sitting stiff and formal. My dad, arms folded tight. Tyler slouched so far down that he looked like he wanted to disappear. I hadn't spoken to them in almost 2 years. On screen, my pre-recorded introduction played. "Hi, I'm Liam Gray," I said. I wrote and directed Second Son as a way to process silence, the kind that builds inside a family until someone starts to believe their voice doesn't matter. This story isn't just for me. It's for anyone who's ever felt invisible in their own home, I hope it reminds you to listen more closely, especially to the people you think you already know." Then the film began. The birthday scene, the favoritism, the subtle dismissals, the lines like, "You're overreacting," and "Can't you just be happy for your brother?" The echoes were obvious. When the final birthday shot appeared, the main character alone at the edge of the frame while everyone else sang for someone else, you could feel the shift in the room. When the credits rolled, there was a long, heavy silence, then steady applause. I walked up to the microphone. "Thank you for being here," I said. "This story was hard to tell. Not because I didn't know what happened, but because for a long time I thought my version of events didn't matter. But silence has a cost. Sometimes the quietest people are carrying the loudest truths." I looked straight toward the fifth row. Then I stepped away. As people filed out, strangers I hadn't seen in years came up to me. That really hit home. I saw myself in that. Thank you for making this. I didn't look to see if my parents or Tyler stayed seated. I didn't have to, because outside, under the dim lights of the theater entrance, I heard my name. "Liam." It was my mother, alone. "That was a lot," she said. I waited. "You could have talked to us," she said. "I tried," I answered. "You just weren't listening." She flinched but didn't argue. "Is that really how you remember things?" "Yes," she swallowed. "I didn't know it hurt you that much." "That's the point," I said quietly. "You never looked. You were so focused on giving Tyler everything that you let me disappear." Her eyes watered. "You're not invisible, Liam. We love you." I gave a small, tired smile. "Maybe, but love without effort is just decoration." There was nothing else to say, no apology that would undo years of being treated like an afterthought. So I walked away. At the corner of the block, I saw Tyler leaning against my car. "You happy now?" he snapped. "You made us look like monsters." "I didn't have to," I replied. "You did that yourselves." "All this," he said, waving back at the theater, "just to prove you're better than me?" I actually laughed. "No, Tyler. All this was to prove that I was here." I got in my car and left him standing there under the theater sign with my name on it. In the weeks that followed, Second Son got picked up by a small streaming platform that featured student films. Messages started coming in from people I'd never met, students, teachers, even counselors, telling me that the story meant something to them. Back in my hometown, the ripple effect continued. My mom eventually took a leave from work. Parents talked. People whispered. Tyler moved out after a huge argument where he blamed my parents for letting me embarrass him. He bounced from plan to plan, tried starting a channel online, then quietly stopped. My dad never reached out, not once. And strangely, that silence told me more than words ever could. I kept going. I graduated with honors. The production studio hired me full-time. I moved into a small apartment with creaky floors and a view of the skyline that made all the hard years feel worth it. I kept writing, kept filming, kept telling stories for people who had been made to feel small. Every year on my birthday, I light a candle, not to make a wish, but as a reminder that even a small flame can burn away a false story. My family wrote everything around Tyler, but I wrote the ending, and this one is mine. It took years for me to find my voice and build my own space. Every overlooked moment, every ignored achievement, every quiet hurt pushed me toward the life I have now. I wouldn't trade the growth that came from it. But I am curious. Have you ever had to reclaim your own story from someone else's shadow? Have you seen a situation like this in your own life or someone else's? How would you handle that kind of confrontation with your family? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'll be reading them all.